Good afternoon, everyone. This is Chad Cunningham with the ALICE Training Institute. We thank you for coming out to another webinar this month. And the topic we chose for today is School's Out, Now What? So we're just going to hit some highlights because I'm sure a lot of you school resource officers and educators, if you have them here with you, are getting ready to swing down and get the end of the school year going. So really what I want to touch about very shortly here is, what do we do as we transition into the summer months? As an SRO, we sometimes get pulled out to go back to the road. We might go into training depending on the size of our department. And so we really transition from being that SRO at the schools to now we have to do the job we had before in between. So today, in the short time we have together, I really would like us to look at some key components. How can we still use our ALICE knowledge and skills and keep them sharp during these summer months? I want to talk about in-service training, community presentations at public places like the library. You can start looking at developing your VCI exercises and then reviewing your emergency operations plans with school admin, because even though many of the teachers are gone, principals, superintendents, they're still in for most of the summer months, and this is a good time to get some of that reviewed. So that's kind of going to be our agenda for the next half hour or so, and we'll get through it. If you have questions, you can use the chat, and we'll get those answered. We'll have some time at the end, but other than that, we should be good to go. So let's talk about in-service training. Now, we know that ALICE is for the civilian population on who we serve. We need to get those information, but really it's important also for our officers, if they don't already know what the program is, that they understand what the ALICE concepts are and what's going to happen when they respond to the school during one of these events. And if we have not had that time in in-service training to provide this information, this is a time over the summer. I remember when I was working at the University of Akron, we had a lot of our active shooter response training over the summer in the schools and the different buildings. And that was the time, as part of my presentation, that I would talk about our ALICE program on how they can look at their response, what's going to be happening. It's not always going to be just the bad guy up there. The bad guy may be controlled, laying on the ground. How do we get them up? So really knowing what those points are. And in the K-12 arena, looking and sharing where's those rally points for those kids. Because again, we're going to have somebody go to the rally point also as we respond and get enough personnel and resources at the scene. We need to start moving resources over to the rally point also to assist school resources while they're there. So in-service training is a very important part. This is usually when we do allow the training, and you have that time now that you're not in the schools to share your knowledge with the other officers, saying, all right, this is what the ALICE program is, this is what the school's doing, or this is what the businesses are doing, and this is how it does affect us. The informed piece is very important, providing information as we provide going in, when people are evacuating out, what they should be expecting, and your active shooter response training should be reflecting a lot of those areas also. Another way to keep kind of your skills up and moving is presentations at public library. As a police officer, you have the ability to share the ALICE knowledge with public entities. Well, a public entity that you can share with is a library. A lot of summer activities happen at the libraries. Students come in, they have book reading programs, but this might be a time, and librarians are always open to have different programs come in and talk to bring people into the library. It might be that you come in and perform a 100 class that you can find in your instructor resources, and just have an overview of what ALICE is and what they can do to have a plan in the event. Because again, remember, these strategies we can use as life lessons, just not for our school or our organization. We can use these everywhere. So ability to share the program with the community, and again, that 100 in the portal will work very, very well for you there. Presentations are important, getting that word out, getting people to know. Now, we talked last month about how to develop a violent critical incident exercise, and we had a lot of good response on that, and I'm glad everybody liked it. It was fun to do. this might be the time now, is over the summer, to start getting a lot of your information and a lot of your footage to develop these exercises. Now you have a little bit more time, possibly room within the schools to get the footage, to get the resources, have some of the kids coming in, summer school, whatever you may need. But this might be the time now to start developing those and getting those ready for the new year that's going to be coming up. When we develop these, again, if you did get to watch our webinar last month, you can go out on our webinars page where you signed up for this and find a copy of it, or let us know and we'll get you the video. But really looking at how do we develop these, this is that time that you can take as you're patrolling, even taking a little bit of time and getting your footage on how to do and what information you need for there. We also talked about reviewing the emergency operations plan with school administration. This is a good time where they're not over inundated with work and students and everything else they're doing. They're trying to get ready for the new year. This might be a time to sit down with that administration and say, all right, let's review what is our emergency operations plan? What are we doing with this? How are we going to drill for next year? What exercises are we going to use? How many new employees are coming in that we may have to present with? Do we need to call ALICE and up our e-learning registrations because we have new employees coming in? So this is a time to really look at what is our emergency operations plan? Is it up to speed? Do we need to perform any risk assessments? If you need assistance with risk assessments, we have that ability for you. Give us a call. We set you up with our risk assessment group and provide services there. But really looking at and taking this time to get our school up to par with assessments and reviewing to make sure that our plan is in place, it matches what we're training, and we're ready to go for next year. When we look at summer, we think it's time to relax, but many times, as many of you know, when we get relocated, it sometimes gets a little bit busier. But we need to look at how do we take this time to catch up on what we need to do to make sure that our buildings are safe, our emergency plans are matching what we want to train and what we are training, and that we're ready to go for the new year. I also want to talk about you, because a lot of that we're talking about going and reviewing and providing information for the community and going over your emergency operations plan, but this is also time for you to go in and review your instructor materials. Remember in your portal that you can go in under resources and you have many different things that you can choose from, reviewing the introduction of ALICE presentation. So if you have to, have a presentation to new employees or just a quick overview, ALICE training implementation presentation goes down to instructor-led training demonstration. So how are we looking for the demonstrations that you learned in class? And depending on when you took the class, we kind of enhanced a little bit. So that's why you have two different instructor-led training demonstrations. If your class was prior to October of 2018, that is the one that you're used to. So I kind of left it up there, but we've enhanced our instructor class and we've added a couple things. So that's the first instructor-led training demonstration that you would see there. So you can use either one, but most people are really enjoying the instructor-led training demonstrations there. If you're going to start performing safe scenario guidelines, make sure that you download and review these. Review what your safety aspects are. Make sure that your area is safe, that you follow the scenarios there. And make sure that you go through and understand what you need to do in order to provide a safe environment and provide good training with safe scenario guidelines is there. We also have a download for critical thinking drills. This is a record that you can keep. That here we took that BCI that you created over the summer, and now you can start keeping track. So that's a nice little download that you can view. So just taking the time and going through these, refreshing your information is a good way to kind of restart the summer and kind of review and take the time that you need to do for yourself, as well as what you can do for the community. All right. Now, most of these I know are a good 20 minutes to half hour, but I know you guys are all busy, and I just wanted to get time at least to say, all right, look, I know summer's coming. I know we're going to be transitioning. So, you know, here's 3 or 4 things that we can do in order to keep our knowledge sharp, keep information going, and what, you know, how we can interact still with the community and be ready for next year. So is there any questions so far that you guys might have that we can answer for you as we start, you know, looking to start these summer months and that summer transition? I'm looking at my colleagues here, and they're just looking at me.
So one of the questions that we received is the curriculum for the teachers of students with special needs. So people have seen that it is available. We need to know how they can access it. So can you discuss where special needs curriculum is located?
The curriculum that we have for special persons with special considerations is actually located in the K-12 resources of the e-learning modules. So if your organization, your K-12, has adopted and is partaking in the K-12 e-learning, they have access to a couple of different folders there. They will have access to the add-on modules that will have a resource for there, and they have a folder in their portal that would show also the special considerations curriculum. And that there they can download it, use the cards and in those areas. And we'll be talking more about that in our August webinar, I believe, as you know, we start ramping up for our back to school.
And really quick, can you give an overview of what the special considerations content is?
Our special considerations content module is really looking at how do we use these strategies with persons with special needs. So it looks at mobility issues, sensory issues, and how do we utilize those in a proactive form. It's a very interactive. We also have, especially for the younger kids, we have power cards that you can download and use in order to show what you want them to do. So it's a very interactive presentation that you can use and look at. This was put together by one of our founders, Lisa Crane, and groups from the George Mason University came together and helped develop that for us. So we're real excited about it, and it's going to be a good course out there for you also. For many of you on the line who are ACIs and part of the family, there's going to be some information coming out. We have released, and if you have the K-12 e-learning already, you might have already seen it. We're going to release student curriculum. So that is going to be something coming out. So if you do have that K-12 e-learning and you see that folder, that's something else you may want to look at over the summer. This K-12 curriculum we developed for preschool all the way to 12th grade. We looked at utilizing our I'm Not Scared, I'm Prepared book. We developed some stop and go videos to use for the 4th through 6th and the 7th through 12th. And we feel the information we've received from our pilot programs have been very positive. We've had a lot of 4th graders, the 4th through 6th, really give us a lot of good information. And so we're excited that that's going to be coming out. And we're going to talk a lot more about it, more in depth, in our August webinar.
We do have another question. Their school does not have an SRO. Is there any advice that you can offer on putting together a parent meeting?
Are they an ACI? So when you put together, not needing an SRO and to have parent meetings, again, as an ALICE Certified Instructor, if you're one of those ACIs at your school on that question, you can put together a parent meeting and provide that information very easily. When we look at our resources in that instructor world, you can look at the introduction to ALICE presentation, and you could use that as a guide to use through that information on how to use a parent night. You can look at flyers. If whoever asked that question, if you want to give me a email, Cheryl? Okay, thanks, Cheryl. Cheryl, if you want to email me at ccunningham@alicetraining.com, I might have a letter that you can use to kind of get the information out there. But as far as what presentation to use and what to talk about, that introduction to ALICE presentation would be a good one. Even the ALICE training presentation, we call the 100 there, you could use to provide for the parent group.
She says, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I think that's it. I don't have any
I'm not
more.
sure if anybody else has any questions.
Anybody else? These are good questions. I said I didn't want to take a lot of people's time because I know we're either ramping up to clean up and get ready to start the summer months or already there. Well, there's nothing else I'm going to go through. So in conclusion, really, for today's, we talk about in-service training, and again, looking at my SROs, but we have some family out there that's not an SRO, but even getting with your local law enforcement and saying, hey, you know, are you guys aware of what we do? If not, can I come in and talk to you about what we do? Or can we provide you some information in order to get that into play? Awareness presentations at public libraries, again, as law enforcement officers, you know, you have the ability to train and partake and present in public entities. And this might be a way to provide that information out into the community and the libraries. They're always looking for something. Taking the time now to develop those VCI critical thinking exercises. Again, when you're very close, little meetings, these are nice little activities that you can use to get people's brains thinking, that when-then scenario training, because now if they're thinking about it, they talked about it, it's in that Rolodex of the brain, and they can flip through and get to it pretty efficiently. But again, that's just one part of the whole blended picture. And then sit down and review the emergency operations plan with school administration, law enforcement, fire, whoever's part of that, your emergency operations plan group, and make sure everything's up to speed, up to par, everybody agrees on anything, it's following what you're training, because remember, your EOP has to follow what you train. Your paper can't say one thing and you do another. They have to match and follow through with that. Might be a time too to look at assessments. Again, we have risk assessments that we can come and provide for you also. So if that's something you're interested in, you can give us a call or an email, and we'll get you connected to who you need to look at. And then again, for yourself, review your instructor material. Those of you that train or talk a lot, you know that you can never prepare enough. You never can not look at your material over and over again, make sure that you know it, know how it flows, know how to present it, and know how everything works. And checking into that portal, going back into that portal, looking at all those resources, we add stuff as much as we can when we develop new items. So reviewing that material is very, very important. And then those of you that in their K-12, we talked about our age-appropriate curriculum or student curriculum, and then curriculum for special considerations. That is out there in the K-12 e-learning folders, so look it over. And well, like I said, in our August webinar, we're going to be talking about that a little bit more in depth on how we can use that and really how it was all developed. All right, if there's no other questions, I'll wait 2 seconds here. I'm getting the all clear from the panelists here. They read your questions, they let me know, because I can't do 2 things at one time. So I appreciate everybody coming out, spending the last 20 minutes with us here on this, probably the last week for many of you, or maybe next to last week of school. So have a great summer. Keep moving forward with your information. Remember, the more you tell people, the more we save lives, and we reach that ability for us to empower others, well, really empower individuals to take part in their own survival. And that's what's important for all of us here at the ALICE family. So have a great summer. And if you guys need anything, let us know. And if not, we will see you in August at the next webinar. All right. Thanks, guys. Be good.